Good morning, friends. Thanks for joining us here at Journey Home Meditation for the morning sit. I'm Michael. I'm going to be sitting here this morning sharing some meditation, some contemplation, and a little bit of mindful breathing together. And I guess I'm happy to be here. I guess so. You know, it's one of those things. Do you have to be happy to be happy? Do I have to be overall in that place of happiness today to be happy to be here? Maybe I should say I'm grateful to be here, because I am grateful to be here, but I'm not happy this morning. This morning's not a morning filled with happiness. I'm not happy. I think there's some there, right? We carry a little bit of happy and a little bit of sad all the time. At least I do. But yeah, where is that line that we draw between joy and happiness? I'm joyful. I am. Just not giddy. Yeah. Actually wanted to jump right in this morning with a poem, I think, to start us off. I read poetry on this morning practice often because I feel like poetry, more than any other use of language, is the most succinct and closest conversation to divinity I think we can have comes in the form of poetry. If we look at any of the divine works throughout the world, they are generally placed in poetic form, right? There's poetic form to be had. So I think that that's telling me that poetry is maybe that voice that only in that voice of poetry can we really break through the visceral senses, like the logical, rational mind, and get into that place of feeling, that place of sensation. And often I do read Mary Oliver on these morning practices because I find that Mary Oliver is one of the best in my opinion, and her ability to really drive it right through to the marrow, right? Like yeah. I'll spare the metaphors and analogies, and we'll just get right into the poem that I found to be a good one for this morning. I may have read this before on this morning practice because I read this poem often, but when I opened a book of poems by Mary Oliver today, this one came right up. It's called Lead, or Lead. Here is a story to break your heart. Are you willing? This winter the loons came to our harbor and died, one by one. Of nothing we could see. A friend told me of one on the shore that lifted its head and opened the elegant beak and cried out in the long, sweet savoring of its life, which, if you have heard it, you know is a sacred thing, and for which, if you have not heard it, you had better hurry to where they still sing. And believe me, tell no one. Just where that is, the next morning, this loon, speckled and iridescent with a plan to fly home to some hidden lake, was dead on the shore. I tell you this to break your heart, by which I mean only that it break open and never close again to the rest of the world. Hmm. So, what does that mean to break your heart open and to never close again to the rest of the world? I think in some ways, this poem is talking about death, but in other ways, um, this poem is talking about the expectations, this uh, this object permanence that we get when we see something in our lives that bring us joy and love, um, and we expect it to just keep going, keep doing its thing, and then at some point it doesn't. At some point it stops. It shifts and changes, transforms and morphs, and it just looks different. One day you just wake up and it's different. And like the loon who was preparing the night before to leave on its journey the next morning and just never woke up. This was lying dead there on the beach. You know, we have plans and we have ideas about the world and the future, and then something happens, something shifts, and that all changes. And at the end of the poem, Mary Oliver reminds us that it break our hearts open so that it never closes again to the world. And I think that means don't stop making plans. And I think that means don't stop inviting in love. And I think that means don't stop living with a belief of forever, even when you know that everything is temporary. I think that's what it means to have your heart broken open. It just lets all of the love pour in and pour out. And maybe that's what it means by liberation. I don't know, but they called the Buddha the awakened one. That's what Buddha means. But they also called the Buddha the one who has sovereignty over themselves. And I think that means the one who has their heart broken open, never to close again. Because sovereignty means you are not at the whim of something else. You are steadfast in your ability to be, to just be. And that means you are able to allow the world to be just as it is. Not that we don't see things that we want to change, we do, and we do those things. When we see harm, we step in the way of harm. When we see suffering, we open our arms to suffering. When we see starvation, we bring food. This is what we do not because we believe we are fundamentally responsible to change the world, but because there's an opportunity here to engage with the world. Right? So we engage. We engage exactly where we are with exactly what we have to bring. And sometimes those things change. Sometimes those interactions and those relationships and those plans change. And I think that if anything at all, this practice is about being willing to become with the world, being willing to become, to be ever changed and steadfast at the same time. But that doesn't mean that it's not painful, and it doesn't mean that it's not terribly sad, like the poem. She says in the poem, if I can find it. It's funny how it just opens right to it, and then I have to search for it. A friend told me of one on the shore that lifted its head and opened the elegant beak and cried out in the long, sweet savoring of its life, which, if you have heard it, you know is a sacred thing, and for which, if you have not heard it, you had better hurry to where they still sing, and believe me, tell no one just where that is. Cried out in the long, sweet savoring of its life. To savor life. I think that requires us to embrace death, to embrace endings and beginnings, and find that we are always in that place, sort of in the middle, right? But yeah, those are just a couple of the ruminations that have been knocking around in my heart and my mind the last few days. The terrible sadness and inevitability, and the ever present beauty of endings and beginnings. So, if you'd like to join me now for a little bit of breathing and meditation today, just find your meditation posture. And your meditation posture is simply that place where the body finds balance. And this practice that we hold together as a sacred practice is a simple practice. It is as simple as breathing in and breathing out. In that sacred simplicity, there is layers upon layers upon layers of understanding to be had and questions to be asked. So let us have a practice now of devotion to the breath and move our body into a position that best facilitates our breath. elongating the spine as much as you comfortably can without stress or strain. Allow your shoulders to relax and the shoulder blades to come together just slightly in the back. Palms facing upward, resting gently on your lap. If you're in a chair as I am, you may have your feet flat to the floor or crossed in any number of positions, but however you are sitting or lying down or even standing, taking a walk, as you breathe in, bring your awareness in with the breath into the body. And then as you hold that breath just for a moment, feel your awareness begin to swirl around from inside of the center of your being, reaching its way through every limb, up to the top of your head, bottom of your feet. Feel that awareness move through the body, through the spine, through all of the nerves and veins and arteries. Just allow your awareness, your focus, your sacred attention, bring it to this place. Breathing in through the nose to the bottom of the belly. And bring your awareness here. And releasing the breath from the mouth. And bring your awareness here. And breathing in. Breathing out. And when you're bringing your awareness to the breath, let the breath bring you into awareness. Just awareness that you are here. Fully here. There is no part of you missing. There is no part of you that you are waiting to gain or acquire. You are whole. You are present. You are here. Breathing in. And breathing out. Feel that energy of the breath as you move it in to the body. And as you breathe out, all of that opening begins as you empty yourself and become open to receive. Thanks for being here this morning. Continue with this practice as long as you'd like. And if you want to reach out to me, my name is Michael, and you can find me at journeyhomemeditation@gmail.com. You can find this and almost 200 other recorded practices by searching for Journey Home Meditation on Spotify, Audible, or Apple Podcasts, or even on YouTube. So thanks for being here. I look forward to seeing you again. Hari Om.